This video looks at comparison operators. So we're going to have a look at comparing values and how we go about doing that inside code. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is a Boolean value. So a Boolean is a value that is either true or false. So if we compare things, if we're comparing two values, then the result will be either true or false, depending on what the question is. So for example, 4 is greater than 2. Well, the result of that is true, because 4 is greater than 2. Okay, so the Boolean result of this would be true. 6 is less than 4. Well, the result from that one would be false, because 6 is not less than 4. So all we do is we just compare two things and we check to see whether or not it's correct. So having a look at this one here, we need to state whether or not we think these statements are true or false. There are 12 months in the year. True. The grass is pink. False. You are in Glasgow at the moment. Depends where you are. Might be true, might be false. A horse is smaller than a mouse. False. Scotland is part of the UK. True. 5 asterisk 4. So thinking back on the operators, 5 asterisk 4 means 5 times 4. And we're checking to see if 5 times 4 is equal to 20. Well, it is, it's true. Because it would be 20 equals 20, so that's true. Here we have got 6 minus 3 equals 18. Well, 6 minus 3 is 3. So 3 equals 18. Does 3 equal 18? No, so that's false. If it rains, you need an umbrella. True. If it's sunny, you need an umbrella. False. Although in Scotland, it's probably a good idea to have one anyway. So by looking at these things, we're just comparing two things together and we're seeing whether or not it's true or false. We do that a lot when we code, and we use the result of it, if it's true or false, to do one thing or another. So when we code, we use different operator types. So if we have a look here, A is 10 and B is 5. So having a look at the next slide, what we'll do is, if we remember those values, we'll see whether things are true or false. So if we want to check whether two things are the same, we use equals equals. So to check if A is equal to B, we would have A equals equals B. And A is 10 and B is 5, so that's not true, it's false. We can check to see if these two things are not equal to. So instead of writing out the English are not equal to, we use an exclamation equals. And I can say A exclamation equals B. So we're checking to see that these two values are not the same. One is 10 and one is 5, so that's true. Another alternative for doing the one above is less than and greater than together. So it works in the exact same way as exclamation equals. And then we've got some other kind of maths type looking operators. So we've got the greater than sign and we've got the less than sign. The way I remember the difference, kid you know, is a less than sign looks like an L on its side. And obviously then the greater than sign's the opposite one. So we're checking this first one here, whether or not A is greater than B. Okay, so we're checking to see if the value A is greater than B. The one underneath, we have the less than sign. We're checking to see if A is less than B. Sometimes you want to maybe check to see if something is greater than or equal to. So in here, we're checking if A is greater than or equal to B. That might be useful if you were getting someone's age and you wanted to check and make sure they were over 18 or over. We could use something like that. Here we have less than or equal to. So we're checking to see whether A is less than or equal to B. Okay, so we've got all of these different types of operators as they're known. So what we would do is we would compare two values against each other in the code, and the result will either be true or false. And we can make a decision as to what we're going to do in the code based on whether it is true or false. Okay, so there's a wee exercise here. So as it says, remember and check back and see whether or not you remember what the symbols are. So the first one, A, that's an L on its side, so that's less than. A is less than D. Well, A is 2 and D is 1, so that's false. A is greater than or equal to D. A is 2, D is 1. Well, A is greater than or equal to 2 because 2 is greater than or equal to 1. B equals C, so 5 is the same as 8. Nope, so that's false. And then I've got B is not equal to C, so 5 is not equal to 8. That's true. Then we've got D is less than C, so 1 is less than 8. No, that's false. B is greater than or equal to D, so 5 is greater than or equal to 1. So that's true. B is not equal to C. 5 and 8 are not equal to each other. That's true. And then we've got D is greater than or equal to A. So D is 1. A is 2, so that's false. And then I've got A equals E. So we're checking to see whether the two of them are the same. 2 is equal to 2, so that's true. And then I've got E is less than or equal to A. So 2 is less than or equal to A, which is 2. So 2 is either less than or equal to 2. Well, that's true because it is equals. So all we're doing is we're using these wee symbols. Now, if you can't remember the symbols, just look back. That's what everyone does until you get kind of used to, if coding's new to you, if you get used to these things, look back and see what the symbols mean. Okay, so all we're actually doing is we're checking to see whether or not this particular sum, this particular comparison is true or false. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll use these sorts of symbols in our next section.